If you own a web design agency, you have to accept that only a few pages will be perfect. Sometimes you'll have to sit back and evaluate many things. However, one thing that you can avoid is repeating the same mistakes over and over again. This brings us to the must avoid mistakes for web design agencies. Make sure that you stay till the end of this video so that you know all the mistakes to avoid and how to avoid them. The number one mistake I see people doing in web design is to have a non-responsive website. If you're diving into web design, you must know about having a responsive design. These include large desktop monitors, laptop, tablets, and even small phones. This is a terrible mistake because I see tons of people who optimize their websites for like big screens, but on smartphones it's terrible. In today's age, people use smartphones a lot more than their computers. So it is very important to make sure that your website is responsive on mobile and desktop. Having this feature will increase a lot the session time on your website. If you don't have this kind of design, it can make it very harmful for your website. For example, it can be challenging to read text, having bad quality images, difficult navigation, and an overall bad quality. I would always recommend people to use the mobile design before doing the desktop design. Make sure that all elements load quickly on a smaller screen. Then you have to proceed progressively to larger and larger screens. It is key to focus on creating a high quality interface. The second mistake will be to abuse pop-ups. When we use the internet, we see pop-ups everywhere, right? Well, these pop-ups can be extremely distracting. They prevent us from doing what we want to do. This could be downloading something from a spam link, or maybe to input our email or phones. Most of the users rather not have pop-ups on websites. Something literally as small as a click can get us to go away from a website. This becomes very frustrating to say the least. Now the question is, why do pop-ups exist if they're so annoying? It is because we can get users to sign up to offers, newsletters, and so on. This will allow the website owner to create a database and have the customer longer. Pop-ups can be extremely random and spontaneous, so as a website designer you need to make sure to not abuse them. If you have too many, it will kill the entire user experience. Next up is not making use of SEO. A common mistake in websites is to not use headlines or tags. The title is something that grabs attention immediately from the user, and this is exactly what you need to take advantage of. The first thing we need to make sure when building a website is to choose a meaningful URL and a precise one. Incorporating keywords in your URL is key for SEO. Another thing that needs to be utilized is heading tags. Heading tags help the developers structure the website they're working on. Headings also inform search engines about the website's main topic. And finally, you have the use of meta tags, which includes title tags and meta descriptions. And these are key SEO elements. The main point with all these SEO features is that you use keywords in every single one of them to tell search engines what your website's about. Next up, we have color scheming. Another thing that a lot of web designers do is to not use a proper color scheme. This feature can greatly impact the first impression of a user. So choosing the right colors is essential for a website to be optimized. Also, if you dive deep into color schemes, you will figure out that different colors mean different things. For example, the meaning of red can be excitement, love, and positive energy. On the other hand, you have black, which shows security and sophistication. Here are the main things that you need to remember as a web designer in color schemes. Using excessive colors is a big no. A website with too many colors will end up by being overwhelming. When this happens, the only thing the user thinks about is to leave the website. So using the right colors in a website can make or break your success. Lastly, before choosing a color scheme for your website, it is essential that you do a test run before. Once again, you have to check on all devices if the colors you chose are adapted or not. The next big mistake people tend to do in web design is having slow loading times. It is simple. The quicker your website loads, the happier your customer will be. Page loading times is a significant metric in website design. Even Google is telling us that a quick loading website is more likely to rank high in SEO. Therefore, your website needs to be optimized for maximum speed. Here are some few tips that you can use to make your website load quicker. In general, the more files you add to your website, the slower it will load. Take a look at these tips to avoid long loading times. You should implement a content delivery network. It is also important to merge files, get rid of irrelevant files, and you also have to minimize HTTP requests. Another main thing is to reduce the file size of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This will help a lot for your website loading speed. HTML can make you minimize the amount of character used in the code, which will increase your website speed. Also, it is essential that you use the right hosting server. When users open a web page to a browser, it will speak to the server, and if the server is not working correctly, your website speed won't be quick. Therefore, if the server is not performing well, the loading time will be very long. Another factor that can get users to leave your website is poor navigation. For example, having a menu tab which is not clearly visible to the user is a poor navigation. This can lead to the user being frustrated because people who are visiting your website will not find where they want to go. Therefore, it is essential that all your navigation elements are clearly visible in any page. This can be very easily achieved if you just add a sticky menu. This helps a user scroll through the website, ensuring that the navigational options are visible and usable at any moment in time. Another big mistake that web designers make is to not have a clear target audience. There's something that says if you focus on targeting everyone, you target no one. If you don't understand in the first place who the website is for, for, there is no chance that you can make a good website. For example, you could use flashy website animations to target a younger audience. At the same time, if your users are a bit older, you can make a more simple website. The most important thing is to know who's gonna visit your website. You can do this in many ways. The first thing you can do is to look at your competitors. Research what they're doing and upgrade your website. Another thing you can do is simply do surveys on social media. This will give you an indicator on what your audience is looking for. This is the reason that we say the customer is always right. It is because you need to understand what the customer wants, and only then you can sell to him. Consider the creation of an adult child persona for senior care company. This approach recognizes that children usually make decisions for their aging parents. This will allow the company to tailor its website to those specific needs. Next up, we have the 404 page design. This error is something that you will come across a lot in web design, so why not be friends with it? It is essentially an error page that tells you that the page you're visiting cannot be found. This page is usually bland and unremarkable, providing minimal information or assistance to the user. To make sure to get rid of this unengaging approach, you will have to build a custom one. When creating a custom error page, you will help the visitor when he lands on a non-existing page. By doing so, you also increase your brand credibility. So the last big mistake is branding inconsistencies. Whenever we discuss branding inconsistencies in web design, we refer to situations where our website lacks uniformity. All of this will confuse the visitor by reducing its memorability and trustworthiness. To make sure that you don't have the same mistake, you have to make sure that your whole website uses the same branding. You have to determine clear outlines and visual elements and messaging standards so that people can remember you. This will serve you as a guideline to keep your website harmonious. By implementing a well-structured guide, you can ensure that your website will deliver consistently, a unified and memorable brand experience, reinforcing the trust and recognition from visitors. These were the main mistakes that separates a website from being a good to a great one. Make sure that yours falls into the category of great. You should never compromise on your website's quality, because this will reflect on how seriously you take your work. Once you get used to the do's and don'ts, you're gonna wish that you heard about them sooner. That's how big of a difference you'll see on your website. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. Please leave a like and remember to subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, I recommend you go check this one right here. It was Alex. Bye.